Before you make $1 million, it feels so hard that it seems almost impossible. Before you make your first $1 million, it seems so difficult that it feels almost impossible. I'm going to show you how to make your mind bigger than the millions. I've got a client. She came to a training. She's a very high-level client, and she's at that training. I'm teaching her stuff, and she's got an event coming up, and I'm like, okay, this is what you do. You offer this offer. How much? She's like, I don't know, but in order for me to make it worth my while, I'd have to charge $150,000, and I don't want people to feel like that I think I'm better than them. And she had all this internal conflict going on. Here's the reality. What you resist persists, and what you embrace becomes grace, and grace is a gift. So what happens is, what God intends for a lot of us to be a gift that we receive, it's actually a friction that persists because we continue to resist it. And she invited me to come speak at her event. And so when I was speaking at her event, she didn't know I was going to do this. But I told her people, I said, look, here's the deal. The movement that Annie is starting is so powerful and it's so important that she cannot do it by herself. There are some of you in this room who've been sent here to be a part of her mission. She has a premium offer for you, but she's very uncomfortable about making it to you because she doesn't want you to feel like she feels like she's better than you. I'm not going to be here for the rest of the week, but y'all are. Do not let her off the hook. Make her give you that offer. And so they kept, what's the offer, Annie? What's the offer? 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 And finally, she just said, okay, the offer's $150,000. 7 people bought it. She had her first $1 million day ever. Now, why did I tell you that story? Because something like that is going on inside of you, and maybe it's not $1 million day, maybe it's $1 million year. You have an internal conflict going on right now. It is not something outside of you that's stopping you from the objectives that you set for yourself. It's something inside of you. How do I know that? Well, there are 2 types of factors. There are contributing factors and there are determining factors. We can always tell the difference because contributing factors are all outside of us. Determining factors are all inside of us. See, you say, Myron, you don't understand. Racism won't let me. No. Racism is outside of you. It cannot stop you. It might be able to slow you down, but it can't stop you. Myron, I'm a woman in a man's world. No. It can't stop you. It might slow you down, but it can't stop you. I'm not saying those are not realities in the world. I'm saying they may be realities, but they're contributing realities. They're not determining realities. I'm going to read a couple verses to you. Allow them to sink in like never before. Like, let the words, the individual words in these sentences marinate into every fiber of your being. Here's what it says. Proverbs chapter 21, verse number 5. The thoughts of the diligent tend only, write only in all capital letters, please. The thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness. How many thoughts have you had in the last 24 hours that have tended to lack? Is that a good question? How many thoughts have you had? Now, I ain't talking about this month. I ain't talking about this year. I ain't talking about the last decade. The last 24 hours. How many worried, anxious, what if it doesn't work? What if I run out of this? What if I don't have enough for that? And all that mind chatter. How many of those thoughts of lack have you had? Because it says the thoughts of the what? Diligent tend only to plenteousness. So let me ask you a question. Does that seem to mean or imply? Does that seem to suggest or imply that if your mind is not tending to plenteousness, that maybe you're not diligent? We didn't like that, did we? Myron, you don't know how hard I work. Oh, I do know how hard you work. But here's what I discovered a long time ago. People will maintain a level of blood, sweat, and tears, physical diligence, so they don't have to stop long enough and make their brain sweat and think about how to be more mentally diligent so they don't have to be as physically diligent. You're working your body into the grave because you refuse to work your mind.